Hello everyone, and welcome to the dojo. Today I have one of the best jungle games I have ever played in my life. But I know what you're thinking. Wait, 0-7? How is that possible? Well, I will show you. And any good jungle game starts off with a gentleman's ward, which we are showcasing here right now. For those of you who may not know, it's the jungler going to set the ward in this spot for the mid laner and backing. And then what you do as the jungler, because you get a free ward there, you switch your vision to sentry. So that ward positioning, if the enemy jungler goes through there for a level 2 gank, which is the quickest path to the mid lane, it alerts our mid laner of that level 2 gank, which does occur occasionally. So to the junglers out there, do not neglect your mid laner. Please drop a gentleman's ward. Now, long story short, I know some of you don't want to watch the whole commentary, which is, perfectly fine. I'll just tell you why an 0-7 game is the best game that I've ever had as a jungler. It's because I secured every single objective. Something like either 6 or 7 objectives, and not all of them were easy to secure. Some of them I basically had to sacrifice myself. But for those of you wanting to learn jungle, one of the core responsibilities of a jungler is to secure the objective. It is arguably the most important responsibility of a jungler. We do a nice little Khaimera trick to get it right into the next camp ASAP. For those of you who want to practice Khaimera, I recommend doing that too. But it depends on where you want to gank, because originally I wanted to gank mid lane, but last second I changed my mind here. And I just figured, okay, Grux is low. I'm gonna basically invade enemy jungle and farm until he pushes out again. Because as Khaimera, it's not a problem. There's no issue. But as you see here, I'm going to make a pretty big misplay, because Khaimera level 2 with red buff might be the strongest jungler next to Kalari. In a 1v1 situation, he really does excel, because with his regen. And here, I end up losing my stacks, which is a fatal mistake. And I fat finger the blink instead of the smite, which is another big mistake. Basically, I played that about as poorly as I could there. And I'm not really scared to steal here, even though he outplayed me there. Yeah, it's not a good invade here at all. I should have never stuck around, but this Grux gets away. And all in all, we kind of equalized there. The Gideon on my team was really, really confident, and as you can see, he's in between the 2 towers. And at this point, I'm thinking he has to back. He's gonna die. He's gonna die. It's not worth it. And I just continue back farming. And then, to my surprise, the Gideon here actually confirms a kill on one of the low enemies. Because the Grux and the steal were low, but he actually got the steal for first blood, which was very impressive. Very impressive. I don't know if it was worth it because of all the farm he gave up early on, but I can tell you he did a great job securing that kill. And so we completely botched that invade. It could have been so much more in our favor. That could have really helped us snowball into the mid game. But misplays will do that, and I most certainly misplayed that. It would have been even worse if I died, but thankfully we didn't misplay it that many times. So here, we're just trying to farm as efficiently as possible. I want to search for wards here because I want to make sure that when I come back, I can gank the mid lane without him being alerted to me. And I'm kind of prioritizing the solo lane here. Vertical jungling does have its trade-offs, and in what I'm trying to achieve with this is, so after I clear this jungle, I go to my blue side jungle, and hopefully by that time Steel is rotating here and I'm clearing my own jungle. The Grux sees us and he's playing it smart, and unfortunately here, our Grux goes down as well. I really wanted to help there, but I know his blink wasn't up, but if I leaped there and he did his little dash away, there is a small possibility that he could have escaped. Now, I'm just trying to shove the lane so he doesn't get any farm. I'm just trying to rush it. And unfortunately, the Grux wisely gets back to lane as quick as he can, and he pretty much, he wasn't going to get all that CS, but he definitely got a bunch, which, I mean, we tried to negate that advantage as much as possible. As a jungler, you also have to note how the waves are being managed by teammates, enemies, and the actual state of the waves themselves. That way you can just try and mitigate enemy advantages, try to help your team's advantages, etc. All that good stuff. So we're grabbing red buff here before we make our way to fangtooth. We're already extremely late for the fangtooth. We should have been there right when it spawned, because as Khaimera, at level 4 you can just solo fangtooth. And now we are going to use our sentry just to make sure we enter fangtooth pit undetected. We didn't see any wards and we proceed. The red buff, it's a really great idea to grab red buff just so you can burn down fangtooth quicker. It makes a difference. It really does. It's probably at the end of it at least a couple hundred points of damage, which can mean the difference. Every second counts, because when you're soloing fangtooth, you're really vulnerable. And teams that are coordinated will be visiting you immediately. Luckily here, that's not the case. I think maybe Gideon comes and... no, he doesn't. But yeah. First fangtooth clear. As a Khaimera jungler, oh, and here we just check for the ward here just to keep the duo lane on their toes, because even if you don't gank, if they see you clearing their ward, they're going to be a little bit fearful, as they should be. It's smart to be cautious. But yeah, we should have gotten that first fangtooth maybe 2.5 minutes earlier, but that's okay. We got it nonetheless. You always, like, when you as a Khaimera player have to solo fangtooth ASAP, and if you're against the Khaimera player, you should anticipate that. A good Khaimera player will be soloing fangtooths every opportunity. He's going to be sneaky about it and try to get it, so keep that in mind. Now, we went with the Fighter's Crest this game, and we're gonna opt to go for Brutalix so that we have 2 cleanses. And the way that our cleanses work are functionally different, and it is really important. It's really important, because Khaimera's cleanse is instant. Brutalix is a superior cleanse because it cleanses for 0.5 seconds. So you have, when you're trying to outplay, say, a Murdoch shotgun, you're not going to be using your E. That's a mistake. You have to use your Brutalics. Oh, and here we encounter the Steel, and unfortunately the Gideon, even though he had a little bit of a heads up when we encountered him in jungle, he was still too close and fell victim to the shield slam. My personal play style preference is to just build the barbaric cleaver and then move on to Bonesaw, which is what we're building next. And the reason why I do that is because if you build out barbaric cleaver completely, you know, your health pool isn't really that big for you to benefit from it. Additionally, I don't really go tank Khaimera, I go bruiser Khaimera. So that's another reason why if I fully build barbaric cleaver, it's usually going to be my 6th item. And I do like to make it my 6th item, even though you don't see it. I have a game where I do go full build. It just allows you to go full build quicker, and then you could replace that 6th item with a better one. So here I'm seeing if they ward. And Khaimera, another advantage of Khaimera is he is a ward clearing monster. Don't be afraid to pop that Q if you see a ward, because you need to hit it 3 times. Damage is irrelevant. It just has to be hit. So Khaimera probably can clear the wards faster than any other character in the game. So it's really good because there are times where you will just see the ward during the last half second of your sentry, and then boom, you pop Q and you clear it, even though you only saw it for half a second. And any other character, they would have to pop another sentry in order to get it. So here I'm planning to solo or prime because I'm Khaimera. Again, you should do that. And I confirm that there's no ward. Now, you have to be very particular about how you fight this, because I do it wrong here, right? I cleanse the first pushback, which is what you're supposed to do. And now he drops an AoE DLT on the ground that I just stand in. And you don't want to stand in it like I'm doing here. I just forgot about it. So that slam, yeah, that's what happens. There's like a purple fire on the ground, so you don't want to stand in it like a dummy, like I did. Because you can solo mini prime effortlessly. There's no reason why I should have been that low. That's just a misplay here. And thankfully the Grux came and he saved my caboose because I was cooked. So we got the Brutalics and we're steadily making our way into Bonesaw. Now at this point in the jungle game, when you're Khaimera and you have the mini orb prime, you really want to make good use of it. You want to, because you're a powerhouse at this point. If you throw in red buff, oh man, even better. So basically I'm taking any fight. So here we see Steel. I start to build up stacks on the fangtooth while trying to allow him to tank the damage. And then it's a 3v1, which is quite scary. I see Steel pops Razorback, so I ignore him. And I try to do my best here. And the blink really wasn't that great of a blink. It was really only to try to buy my team any time, like an extra 2 to 3 seconds, then it's worth it. Because that blink helped the Murdoch secure the kill on the other Murdoch, and now, although the team right now, it's a 1v3 trade, it's going to equalize a little bit here. So now it's a 2v3 trade. So we got the short end of the stick there, but consider the situation. It was a 1v4, and then now it's a 3v3 situation. So the fight started off 1v4, and we ended up trading equally. That's a big victory for us. Big. Now I'm rushing back to Fangtooth, and I'm trying to clear it ASAP. I pop smite because I feel like at this point I'm the only one going to be attacking Fangtooth, so I'm gonna have another smite up in 15 seconds and I need to clear this ASAP. Luckily my team rotates to help. And I didn't see any enemies, so I opt to save my smite there, just so I can clear this camp quicker. And they're like, just like that, we're up 2 Fangtooths. The first 2 Fangtooths are the weakest. The first one basically is meaningless. It's a meaningless Fangtooth, essentially. The river buff lasting 50% longer, sure. It's an added benefit, no doubt. But ultimately, like, you should never sacrifice deaths for that. Like, you should never sacrifice your hero's life for that. Even as a jungler. I know I said earlier that jungle objectives are the most important thing, and they are. But the first Fangtooth is not worth your life. You can just give that up. The second one, you have to sacrifice your life at that point. So here I kind of make a big misplay here. I should have just ran. Misread the situation. Steel also making good use of the Razorback, because as soon as he pops that, I'm trying to switch targets, but the targets are just too far away. So yeah, just to reiterate that point, because it's really important. If you're gonna die to only contest the first Fangtooth, it's not worth it. The second Fangtooth you must, because 8% movement speed out of combat is very big. It's very big. It allows your entire team to rotate 8% quicker. It allows you to get to where you need to be on the map 8% quicker. That's big. That's big. Much bigger than river buffs lasting 50%. And so we're back to farming. Now, we have Bonesaw. And we're feeling pretty good here. Steel is pretty pushed up. I could rotate over, but I figured that the solo laner is going to make his way back soon, and I don't want to take the farm, so I'm just going to continue on in the jungle. And here we're checking wards. Oh, and we find one. Our team is struggling. I see that the fight on the left lane has already concluded, so there's no point in me trying to rotate over. I see an opportunity where we can just shove and push this tower, and we do take it. And again, I make a bit of a foolish decision here, because 1v1, the steel, I will rock the steel. 1v1. But this is a team game, and my career was ended by the Murdochs just coming over. So, again, in this jungler game, I'm making very, very poor decisions, especially when it comes to fighting the other team. Very, very poor. But that happens, you know. As a jungler, you're kind of flipping coins, and you're not always gonna win. And in this case, it's just like I called heads 3 times and I got tails, and that, that's okay. You can't, what's important is just to understand, what the play, whatever happened, and you got to focus on the play that's coming up. So we're preparing. We got some health, regen, and physical armor, because their team is pretty stacked in regards to physical damage. And I don't want to fight. I want to keep farming jungle, but a fight is breaking out, which means I have to rotate. Fangtooth is coming up soon. I went to check wards, and right now it's like a pretty rough position. The enemy team seems to be poised right now to just take the lead. My team's mental shattered. People already issuing surrender votes, despite a lot of the game left to be played, and that, you know, that's normal. So I go back here to just to kind of repel them off of tier 2. And I already know that they're going for Fangtooth. I check again for wards just to see if they're here. I look up there, 100% confirmed they're going for Fangtooth, and this is a big moment. I jump in, we're fighting, and I secure it. It doesn't matter what happens at this point. They can never get a better outcome than what I just got. That was the 3rd Fangtooth. And basically we traded 2 for 1 there. So 2 of us died and 1 of their people died because the Murdoch hit a nice snipe. So huge. That was a pivotal turning point in the game. Pivotal. Because the 3rd Fangtooth is the first serious Fangtooth. And every Fangtooth beyond that just compounds the severity. So big moment, big moment. And junglers in that situation, in my eyes, what I was thinking there was simply this. The entire game was contingent upon that Fangtooth. And you're gonna notice this in your games. You get the first 2 and then you lose the next 3 or the next 4 or 5. And I did not want to start that slow decline into oblivion. And you know, it doesn't always work out, but that time, oh, it worked out. And for those of you who might not have caught it, that's where Brutalix shines. It shines so much because when I blinked in and I popped my Khaimera cleanse in the form of his E, and when Fangtooth was low, I popped my Brutalix, which gives me a half-second window to smite the Fangtooth, which I was able to do. That's why I love Brutalix, especially on Khaimera. It's just awesome. 1v1 versus the Grux. I got my Stonewall. Oh yeah, I'm taking that fight every day of the week. With Stonewall, now I can stand toe-to-toe with Murdoch, Grux, and I'm fine. No problem. So 0-4. Somebody who just looks at it might think that we're having a bad game, but no, not at all. We're actually doing really well. We're farming well. We're, you know, providing our team with good support. I see the Murdoch rolling up and I already know that's trouble, and then I die. I should have retreated there. That was my fault for sticking out that far. I was under the impression we were in a team fight, and so that's kind of where I done goofed. So, but yeah, right now it's looking bad. Right, they're knocking on Inhibitor's door, but you know, our saving grace is the 3 Fangtooths. It's our saving grace. That's the right now our best chance, and I let the team know, listen, we just got to play defensive and secure objectives. And we see, and I see them running past a ward towards our prime, so I'm signaling to my team now, attack Orb Prime, attack Orb Prime, because this can end the game. If they secure Orb Prime, they can just outright steamroll us. I see that they see us coming with the ward, and that's okay. We can't stop to collect the wards here. We gotta assess the health here, and the same thing. Boom. Secured Orb Prime. Gideon with an amazing ult in there. 4-0 swing while securing Orb Prime. Massive, massive. Basically, the 14 to 31, you could now consider it at this point 31 to 31, and for all intents and purposes. The way that we like that was exactly what we needed to happen in order to win. If we were going to win. We couldn't allow them to secure that. And here I'm tanking inhibitor just because it's like we didn't have minions, and that's not an excuse. If you have HP, you're the minion and you tank that tower. And at that point I see Fangtooth up and I'm like, yep, objective time. The best 0-5 Chimera game I've ever had. And here we're back at it. Luckily our team, they recognize the importance too, and we're burning it down. It's going down. Richter stuns him. I smite secure. The steal rolled up too, but too late. Too little, too late. And so here we're fighting, and it's rough. It's a 1v2 here. The Grux body blocking me really well. I couldn't actually target the Murdoch with the leap, and him dancing around the mine as well. They played that fight really well. However, we won, even though it was a 1-for-3 or 1-for-4 trade, because we got the Fangtooth. And that's the 4th Fangtooth. Oh yeah, it's even more serious. It's even more dangerous. And now, all like statistically, we're probably still behind on gold, right? 17 to 35, but that 4th Fangtooth kind of negates that. It directly negates the gold disadvantage, and even the EXP disadvantage. And for those of you who may not know, the 3rd Fangtooth just starts to give you flat damage and defense. Like based off of a percentage. I think it's like 6% for each Fangtooth. So you get like, for the 3rd Fangtooth, you get 6% boost. For the 4th Fangtooth, you get another 6% for a total of 12%, and then so on. So that's it. They outplayed us. They were doing better than us. They were playing better than us. We just managed to secure objectives more efficiently, and look, we were able to clear 2 inhibs as a result. So it's big. It's big. And now we're just back to farming, right? The only thing that we really lack is magical armor, so now we're starting to build into that. Here, the Gideon, I leave the blue for him because that's just more efficient. Why would I want blue as a Chimera when I could give it to the Gideon? I would much rather have 2 meteors on cooldown than a leap. Because the leap is on such a short cooldown anyway. Who cares if you get a blue, honestly? Oh no, I actually got more physical armor. I'm sorry. I confused the item. I didn't get magical armor. I got more physical armor. I got the armor that gives physical power and physical armor. Yeah. This item, it basically increases my armor the more enemies that are around me, and it decreases enemies' armor that I'm around, which is great because I'm pretty tanky now. And you know, I'm the tankiest on my team, so I have to be the initiator here, which is why I went up there, and I'm just kind of trying, and yeah. And it was rather unfortunate there. If I just delayed my leap there another half second, I would have still been alive and possibly survived the fight, but I leaped right into the Howie's displacement mine, and he popped it right when I landed. So here, the team fight, we lost. It was a 2-for-4 trade, but the inhibitors that we cleared earlier are doing severe damage to the core. I mean, it got it down about 60%, 65%, something like that. So all in all, we lost the fight, but it's not the worst thing in the world. The fangtooths with the super minions, it really, really helps. Like, it really, really helps. Because our team is the weaker team if fangtooth was not a factor. If it was just stats, oh crap. And then here I'm typing and I'm not looking at the wave that's about to clear middle in him. Don't make that mistake. We've all been there, but that's a mistake you can easily avoid. So, but yeah. Here, we're prepping to take fangtooth, and I'm trying to clear the wards. Fangtooth is in, and then there's no time to lose. We're just burning it down ASAP. I burn my smite instantly to try to burn it down, which is a risk. If you do that, it's very risky. And luckily, the steel was just out of position. And there we go. We get an ult on the support and carry, but at this point it's 5 fangtooths. 5. And we just steamrolled it. And they have more gold. That's the power of the 5th fangtooth. I mean, it's incredible how strong it is. And once we confirmed that, we were golden for the fight, and then we just roll in on a red carpet and take our W. So everyone, that's the best 0-7 jungler game I've ever had. We went 0-7 for kills, but we went 6-0 for objectives. And that's what matters. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. If you're interested in more Predecessor content, please consider subscribing. I appreciate you guys. And as always, fight on, friends.